What up, what up, what up? This is Mike the Philosopher here with a special guest. Yo Yo is in the building. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Now, if you haven't seen my video of P. Diddy and Cassie, I would advise you to check that video out. This is where I got a lot of smoke from one of my viewers, and that was Yo Yo. And she said she let me have it, y'all. She let me have it. She said that I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what exactly was your stance?
Well, I basically kind of blasted you. I think I went in pretty heavy. I
Hmm.
basically said that you needed to educate yourself. I
Ain't
think
that
that pretty
something?
much sums it up, right?
Hmm. She,
Yeah.
hey y'all, she unsubscribed. She disliked the video. She just, I mean, just did a whole
I did.
bunch.
I
But
did.
but one thing I would give her credit for is she agreed to talk it out on this platform and see if we can get to the meeting of the mind. So that for that I respect her viewpoint so that I can even understand where she is coming from. Now, everybody probably knows about the P. Diddy Cassie situation. Um, First, I would like for you to tell me where you thought what I got wrong.
Well, and I think I went, when your video showed up on my notification,
Mhm.
I said, "Oh Lord, I don't know what he's gonna say."
Mm,
Because
mm.
I do think that your videos have a male bent, and that's fine. And that's fine because you are a guy, and it would just seem natural that you would have, you know, I guess a predominantly male perspective. And so I was actually honestly nervous to watch that video
Mm.
because I watch your Ready to Love videos,
Mhm.
and I don't always agree with you, but I do appreciate seeing the other side of the equation. And surprisingly, I agree with you a lot on your Ready to Love videos. So I said, oh my goodness, I hope he doesn't say anything that's going to make me not like him anymore. I
Mm.
hope he
Mm.
doesn't say anything that makes me, you know, unsubscribe.
Mhm.
And so I think what really upset me, and I'm just going to say that upset me, was the fact that it it continued a narrative about, why did she wait so long, and maybe this is a money grab. And so it was sort of that, some of the rhetoric that I had been hearing. And don't get me wrong, I don't know Cassie from a man on the moon. I don't really follow Diddy other than what I sort of, you know, just happen to hear in terms of rumors and so forth. So I'm not really invested in Diddy or Cassie. But when the lawsuit dropped, I did pay close attention for whatever reason to the details, the information that she put in the lawsuit.
Yeah. I noticed that they did settle and everything. Uh First of all, something going on with my camera here.
Okay.
Um, but let me ask you, do you am I the only person you heard say these things?
Yeah, because I don't follow a lot of YouTubers, and I think I follow you because of your Ready to Love reviews. So most everybody that I just happen to watch on YouTube, the narrative was pretty consistent in terms of the details of the information that she put in the lawsuit, and the fact that he settled so quickly, and understanding that there had to be some truth to, her story, because I would think that, and this is just me, because I think your word and your character, your name, your legacy is everything. And if someone were to say such heinous things about me, and there were some really, really heinous things that I think the first inclination would be to fight it.
Mm.
Especially if you have kids, you wouldn't want your kids to think such horrible things. And so that was just the way I would be thinking, that, maybe there's more to the story. And, if I settle this readily, then it sort of, stops the bleed, if you will. So that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And,
With the whole thing, first let me get some things clear. Okay, let me be transparent. I ain't no big Puffy or P Diddy or whatever you want to call yourself fan or supporter. Okay,
mm-hmm,
the guy practically bullied his way into the industry. He pretty much robbed a lot of artists, as far as I'm concerned. He made a living off of bullying people, whether they were artists or they were women or whoever else. Okay. I am no Diddy supporter. Um, I think that the guy can be very grimy and greasy, and he probably, you know, took advantage of a lot of people, just like a lot of men in powerful positions do. Um, do I think that he did some of the things that Cassie said? Absolutely. It's not that I don't agree with Cassie. My question was, why did it take so long? And I got some answers as to why it did take long. But my whole point was, it looked, outside looking in, it looked like a money grab to me. All right. Now, these were words that was said by Diddy's attorneys. They actually used the term money grab.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, and I happen to agree with them. And the reason why I agree is because there is a new law. I don't know if you're aware of the laws that were passed recently, but there is this one law, and it's called the Adult Survivors Act. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, the Adult Survivors Act was a law that was passed so that people who were abused, or, they could now come out and, charge whoever they wanted. It was a law that was written into law by one of the governors of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave the survivors of some attackers, the opportunity to go after them. So it suspended the statute of limitations. Okay. Well, recently it's been known that the statute of limitations is going to go back on. This law that was written into law is expiring at the end of 23. Right? So if you got a claim, you gotta put that claim in before January 1st of 24.
Well, I thought the deadline was the end of, like, the day after Thanksgiving, or either the
Yeah, I think it is somewhere.
was that the deadline?
I think so. Yeah, it's about to expire.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, Diddy has had 3 more people come up and filed claims against him. So
But I,
Cassie is not the only one. Now he got three more, two to three more women. One of the
but we,
women, one of the women said she has a claim against them from 1991 when they were in college.
mm-hmm.
So she is trying now. Diddy's attorney addressed her. This is over 30 years ago. Obviously a money grab. Because what's going to end up happening is once that law is abolished and the statute of limitations come back on, you only got 3 years. 3 years to make a claim on anybody. And the 3-year statute of limitations was put in place so that people can't dig back 30 years. You see what I'm saying?
And I understand that, and I think I take issue with the term money grab, and I think for you and I think we were trying to, at least for me, keeping it solely with the Cassie and the Diddy case, because I do believe that there are instances where women don't tell the truth, or men or wrongfully accused. But just within the four corners of this particular case, I think to use the term money grab, it has a negative connotation. So it's clearly someone saying, I'm suing you, and I'm suing you for X amount of money. It's a civil case. It's not a criminal, it's not a criminal case. So what the end game is some monetary compensation for pain and suffering. Right. So I think that was another, just using the term money grab, it has such a negative connotation. So if it's a civil case, there's going to be monetary compensation, right?
It's a civil case. Yeah, it is. But here's the deal, though. She was going to write a tell-all book.
Mm-hmm.
And this tell-all book was obviously to get money. Now, she's going to get money one way or the other, whether it be from Diddy or it be from this tell-all book. It's pretty clear to me. And I know you have a problem with the term money grab,
mm-hmm.
but we can't take money out of this equation.
No.
Okay? She wanted money, and Diddy was her meal ticket to get it, whether he cooperated or not. If he did not cooperate, the book was going to come out. If he did cooperate, he going to cut the check. She was going to get money.
Right, but it doesn't take away from what happened to her, right? Whether she wrote a book, whether she filed a lawsuit, it doesn't take away from the fact that there were things that happened to her. Right. You and I were there, and we said that. I wasn't there, you weren't there. There have been many, many rumors over the years concerning him. Just me watching YouTube, just going back, looking at what folks said many, many years ago with respect to, certain things that he was involved in. And I never really paid attention to any of the Diddy stories. I never really followed him. Mm-hmm. But recently, a lot of things have resurfaced. A lot of interviews have resurfaced, and they're very consistent with, the information that was put forth in the lawsuit. So I think we can, to me, it's no different if I'm involved in a car accident, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm injured, if I lose, wages, if, my pain and my suffering and all of those things, right? You mm-hmm. sue and you're compensated for that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I do understand your point about the time frame, but I can't speak to why it would, and some women never come forward. And I'm no expert. I'm no expert on any of this. But I do know, that some women never come forward. And it's so common because when I'm talking to, friends in my circle, um, you know, a woman
Mm-hmm.
that's been assaulted, or you talk personally to women that have been assaulted, and they never they never go to the authorities. And I think in many cases, most of them don't want to say anything. They just want to, you know, just have it go away. If I don't talk about it, it's almost as if it didn't happen, but they do suffer in silence. I truly believe that they suffer in silence.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I know women who suffer in silence and never press charges on, guys, or never come out with it. The only difference between them and Cassie is Cassie has a pretty much a billionaire. She can, get some money off of. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't been, uh, you know, those things were not done. I think Puffy can be a greaseball. I'm just being real. I think
Mm-hmm.
he can, and I think he is. And I don't excuse nothing that the dude do. I think he did do a lot of the things that she was talking about. I'm just saying the timing of it was a little questionable to me. But if you got that, if the statute of limitations are going to run out, I can understand her filing, you know. And this is what a lot of women, but what ended up happening is a bit of a I wouldn't say a rat's nest, but a lot of women are coming out the woodwork now. 30 years ago, in 1991, we talking about what, 32 years ago, a woman in college, like, and
But let me say this. Let me say this. And of course, just listening to um, different commentators, and also just looking at historically how situations like this have played out, right?
Mhm.
And most times it just takes that one brave person to step forward. And when, you know, say for instance, if I'm a victim and I've been afraid, and I see one brave woman step forward and she's believed. Now, not everybody probably, believes Cassie, but the majority of the people believe her, which I would think it would give another victim some comfort in knowing that I can step forward and put my story out there and be believed. I would think that as a woman, your worst fear has to be to put your story out there and open yourself up and to be the most vulnerable and not be believed. That has to be, horrible.
Mhm.
And so I think that the flip side of that is to look at it like not so much, oh, here they come, out of the just, the floodgate, but it's just that it only takes that one person to walk through that door. And then it gives other women the confidence to walk through that door and tell their story.
and that's
And
and
I'm
that's where
all
the whole Me Too came from. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only speaking for, I for men that have been wrongfully accused, I think it's horrible. I have brothers, and if I had a brother that was wrongfully accused, I cannot even imagine what that would feel like. Um, but I'm only speaking, and I don't even know why, honestly, I don't even know why this particular story touched me the way that it did, to the point where I, you know, made the comments that I made on
Mm-hmm.
on your particular video, and then you and I continued the dialogue, and I appreciated that because I think that men and women should have more conversations. We should have more conversations. We should be able to come together in a safe space. And what I appreciated about you was the fact that you didn't just blow me off.
Mm-hmm.
You continue the dialogue, and you even thought I was triggered, and I had to explain to you, no, I'm not triggered in the sense that something horrible like that happened to me, but that was just a part of me as a woman. I just felt, and I have daughters, and I just felt something about that particular story. It just really, really touched me. And, in spite of the differences that you and I had going back, on the video, you did say, listen, if this is what triggered you, you were at least curious and you asked, well, what triggered you? And here are some resources. And then you and I continue the dialogue. And I think that's important because I think we've gotten away from just sitting and talking it out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be nasty. We don't have to be ugly. I do think my comments initially were a little strong, and I apologize for that. So I appreciate you sticking it in, hanging in there. And I think I kind of hung in there with you too. And we kind of went back and forth. And finally I said, you know what, let's just talk it out.
And
And I just think that that is
that's what I
important.
respect about you is that you wanted to talk it out and kind of get to the meeting of the minds or agree to disagree, whichever one it is. So
Exactly.
kudos to you. That's grown woman stuff right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. It seems to me that, and I'm gonna be honest, it just seems to me like this is a battle between facts over feelings. And what I mean by that is we have to wrestle with the facts of the case, and we also have to deal with feelings of people who find this subject to be a little sensitive. Okay. A lot of times when feelings is involved, and it's especially when it's a woman, and this is just from a male perspective, little to no doubt goes towards the woman, her story, this, that, and the third. Now, Diddy got 3 more cases pent up against him. How do we separate the the real from the fugazi? Because we can't go in society always believing that women are always telling the truth. Is not fair to the men. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that there's not any cases out there that um that are true. I know that there are some that's true, but a lot of times society loves to give the women the benefit of the doubt, and it's not fair to him because here's what happened. Diddy just stepped down as CEO of Revolt, one of his networks. Okay, he stepped down from his own company because now he have to battle all of these lawsuits. He also got dropped by one of his endorsement deals. So he had an endorsement deal that just recently flopped because of all of these allegations. So he is having to, like, look, if he's guilty, he's guilty. He deserves all of it. But what I'm saying is, that's not always the case. There are a lot of women who do want a check, and if there is any doubt or anything like that, they will go after some of these guys. And we cannot pretend like a lot of this is not about money. We can't pretend a lot of this is not about money. A lot of it is. A lot of women will drag you for a check so that you can shut them up. And that's the part that society don't seem to want to deal with. We'll deal with the men and all of the allegations, but we won't deal with the women who are making false claims and things like that. What do you have to say about that?
So I think that we have to trust the system. We have to trust um, the court system. Um, I believe that, and this is my belief, and I have no way to substantiate this. Um, that there are more that would I would like to believe, or there will be more women that would come out speaking the truth, because there's just such backlash and such, I would think, shame that's associated with, being assaulted. Uh, so I would think that even for someone to, take a case like that, there would have to be not just an allegation, but you would have to have, information, evidence to corroborate the allegation, whether that's, an individual that can attest to, what happened, or, some physical evidence that speaks to the allegation. And for anyone that, wrongfully accuses someone, I think that there should be, you know, that person should have to, um, stand account for that. But if, and I guess I'm getting away from your original question, but you have to trust the system. If you're wrongfully accused, then there's a mechanism in place to file a suit, or to, go to the police and have criminal charges filed against that particular individual.
But here's the issue with that is that um, court of public opinion supersedes uh, the court system. And what I mean by that is just a mere allegation of a guy doing something, he can lose millions in endorsements, millions in supporters, millions in revenue. There have been sports players, basketball players, football players who got wrongfully accused, got sent to jail, okay, until facts came out that they did not do it. You know, not for nothing, it was probably some brothers with, a lighter shade woman, Becky or whatever. She accused them of these things and they went to jail. It the court system is what I'm saying is not always correct. It's not always the end all be all. You can be assassinated. Your character can be assassinated before it even goes to court a lot of times. And we talking about, like, he already lost some endorsements. He had to step down from his own company. Um, just the mere allegation. Now, I'm not saying that they should not say anything. Obviously, everybody should step up and confront the person that, like in this case, Diddy. They should say something about him. But let me ask you this, so it's real clear. Um, do you believe that there should be a statute of limitations, and if so, for how long?
Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm not qualified. I'm just not
Just, just,
qualified.
just your opinion. Just your opinion.
I think every woman is different. I just think every woman is different. And, you know, that's why it's very, very hard to say that there should be, you know, a time limit put on it, because what we're seeing right now is, it's taken some women 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and some women never come forward. But I would answer you by saying, you know, what we're doing right now is a first step, because there's only so much control that I have, right?
Hmm.
And, maybe we do our small part in terms of just starting a dialogue, because it just seems like, you have, women on one side and men on the other side, and maybe that there's space in the middle for us to come together and just have a conversation and have some better understanding, because God knows I'm not an expert. I am not an expert, and I could not say, anything with respect to a time limit. I just know that just talking to certain people and understanding, again, some women never come forward, and some women, after many many years of therapy, after many many years. And I would think too, if something like this were to happen to a young girl, and when they're really really young, they probably don't even, you're so young, just to be able to process that trauma and work through that trauma. That's why I say I can't say how long it should be for any one person to, to be able to come forward and have an opportunity to put forth, her truth.
Yeah. And I get that too. It is tough to say. It is tough to say if it should be a statute of limitations. Currently, um, New York has that law to where it's 3 years. Let me ask you, do you think that that's enough time?
I was watching another YouTuber, a female YouTuber, and she was talking about this particular Cassie situation. And she's well into her 50s. And she talked about an incident that happened to her when she was in her 20s. And she said she went to the authorities, and they didn't believe her. And she said it was many 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 years later she ran into the gentleman that assaulted her. And after all of those years, she felt, the trauma of that incident, as if it had just happened. So that's why every woman is different. And here's the thing: let's not forget about men, you know, that are
Mhm.
also assaulted. We can't think about the men that are assaulted, and the men, there's probably more men that suffer in silence. Um,
There's a lot of men who suffer in silence, and there's a lot of men who never even bring it up either. So yeah.
that's right. That's right. And so maybe, we do our small part in terms of, you know, focusing on how we raise young boys and how we raise young girls, and, kind of getting back to the fundamentals of things. And I mean, I think this has been, this is not something new, obviously, right? That folks have been mistreating folks for years.
Mhm.
Um, but I think in the age now, and I do agree with you that public opinion in terms of this particular case, um, because now with the internet and social media, um, it's not surprising that, if you think about how fast he settled this particular case, because the internet was ablaze. I mean, people were just coming out strongly in defense of her. And I think this case is kind of different in the sense that there have been so many rumors for years about what he had done, right? And then,
Mhm.
like you speak to the point about the different artists, that whole situation. You think about the Biggie situation, the Tupac situation. So I think in this particular case, people had a lot of reasons outside of Cassie to be anti-Diddy. And I think his case is different in that particular sense.
From what I understand, Diddy and Cassie relationship went from 2005 to 2019,
And
right?
she was like 19, right? When they met. Was she like 19 years old?
I believe so. Um, but I know that they were together for like, what is it, 14 years?
Like, yeah,
2005 to 19.
a long time.
So a question is asked, how do you stay in a relationship for that long if you feel that you're like, does it take that long to realize that you're, being, you know, mistreated, I guess you could say?
But but you know that there are a lot of women that stay in abusive relationships for years. And I think here's the thing, it's probably difficult for you to wrap your head around it, just as it's difficult for me to wrap my head around it. Because you are probably built in a way that says, as the first sign that something is not right, I'm out the door,
Yeah, you don't.
right?
Yeah, you don't stay in it for 14 years. Like if
But
there if it was that bad, like there's a part of me that feels as though there is something she was getting out of this relationship in order for her to stay. Okay, I mean, I'm not justifying the stuff that she said he did was disgusting. It was, but why did you stay? It's almost as a form of self punishment. It's almost a form of, uh, you know, uh, it just seems like, listen, if somebody come up to me and stab me, it ain't gonna take me 14 years to find out I was assaulted. Okay, so
but she's not the only person that has stayed in an abusive relationship.
and
People
exactly, and she's not the only one to do that, and that's the part, as a male who's trying to understand this part of it, and maybe you can help me understand this part, because I'm sincerely trying to understand, how do she stay in that relationship for that long if it was that bad?
So I and here's again, in this particular situation, folks have talked about the grooming, right? And the fact that she entered that relationship in terms of thinking that he could do something for her music career. Now, mind you, I don't know a lot about Cassie, and I'm just going on what I've heard. So if I'm thinking of a 19-year-old impressionable young lady, we have to go back to the beginning. She was 19. He was almost 20 years her senior. So there's right
Mhm.
there, there's an imbalance right there, because this is a young girl with a grown man. And so I think that there's space for mind control and manipulation and so on and so forth. And in many cases, she was probably afraid. She was probably afraid. So
Well,
I
she
so
ended
I
up she ended up in another relationship with a guy called Kid Cudi. I think he's another artist. So she left Diddy before, but she came back to him. Okay. I guess Diddy didn't. I guess Diddy was a little jealous that she left, but she went to Kid Cudi. But when she broke up with Kid Cudi, she went back to Diddy.
but you know, and we've all heard stories about, you know, folks that have been abused and they've been threatened. Family members have been threatened, and they stayed for many, many reasons. But I don't think that there's this idea that, you know, that there was some self serving reason other than maybe she loved him. Maybe it got to be a point where she loved him. Maybe she did want, her music career. Um, there may have been many, many reasons why she stayed. At the core of it, it could have been simply that she was too afraid to leave.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been many, many reasons because you hear about folks that stay in abusive relationships and they try to leave, and they leave, and either they're stalked, all kind of things happen to them, or maybe family members are threatened. I can't really speak to why she left. I can just think that if she started in a relationship with him when she was 19, she was very, very young. He had a lot of time and opportunity to groom her and do a lot of mind control and manipulation.
Yeah, and I understand that part, and it's the same thing with the what was it Harvey Weinstein I'm thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Weinstein situation where he took advantage of his power
Mm-hmm.
and impressionable girls who were, you know, he was in between he was in between their dreams. He could make their dreams a reality, and he, I guess they call it a couch audition or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
So
The
he did,
casting couch, right? The
yeah,
casting.
the casting couch. So uh, he did the same thing, and I think this is a lot like Diddy. He probably did the same thing, but as wrong as those guys are, and they all kind of wrong, okay, a
Mm-hmm.
part of me
Mm-hmm.
feels like a part of me feels like the women were trying to also use the men, and the men kind of know this. I mean, Diddy ain't no Adonis. Harvey Weinstein definitely ain't no Adonis. So the men kind of, I think the men kind of felt like they knew why the women were there. They were, there to be used. So, and Harvey Weinstein, there's probably no other way this guy could get a woman. So these
But
terrible men, terrible
let me
men took advantage of their positions, but also there is some accountability on these young ladies who would probably do a lot to get what they want out of these men also.
but let me just say this. If you and I enter into, let's say, I'm just trying to think, if we're negotiating some deal, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And if you and I are coming from a position of equalness, so to speak, if there's a level playing field, we're equals, and then we're both negotiating, not necessarily from a power position, like a complete imbalance in power. I think that's different. I think that's different. I think when you have very, very powerful people, whether it's a man or a woman, that it's never a level playing field. It's never a level playing field. Someone that these powerful, powerful people are always, negotiating from and I don't even know if you can use the term negotiating, but it's a position of strength. It's a position of complete strength and dominance. And then here's the thing: if you and I decide, okay, if you do this, then I do that. It's a win-win situation. I'm not abused. There's no abuse. There's no pain. There's no any of that, right?
mm-hmm.
But when it crosses the line, and then when it goes beyond, if you do this and I do this, it's no different than you have a car. You want to sell your car? Okay, I'm going to buy you. I'm going to buy your car. Or, you know, if you do this for me, you paint my house and then you can get this car. It's a win-win for both of us, right? But when there's this the abuse part of it, whether it's, the essay and all of that, that's where it just crosses a line. And whether it's a man or a woman, you cannot win. You cannot win. And that's just too much to give up. That's just too much to give up, or too much to have someone take from you.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess, you know, I guess a part of me just feels like, when will because I know a lot of people have a lot of self pride. So when will the self pride kick in and say, you know what? I'm not going to stay in this relationship. I know that I could be a famous actor, singer, whatever, but what is happening here is not acceptable. Um, I'm out. And I will file charges immediately. I don't understand why it can't be done that way. Because if it can be done that way, then it should be done that way, and and that's how it should proceed. Because listen, I know a lot of these young ladies are very young and impressionable, like you said, and they have, dreams and aspirations of being an actor or a singer or whatever the case may be. But at some point, uh, there has to be some accountability also on them. Now, the men in those powerful positions, or whoever it is, they deserve whatever charges they get. They deserve to be put under the jail, whatever the case may be. But I don't think it's healthy for us to continue to only look at one side of this spectrum, because if we do that, we're never going to fix the issue. The only way we can, as a society, come together and say, look, this is how we can eliminate this whole situation, is we have accountability on both sides. The men held
Well,
accountable.
but if I'm not doing anything, how I think that's where I'm having a hard
Okay,
time.
well, let me
You
let me
see?
explain. Let me
Okay.
explain it to you this way. Okay, I'm not saying that they're necessarily doing anything, but that is kind of part of the problem. They're not doing anything in that situation. We're talking about adults here. We're talking about adults. Cassie was an adult. Uh, Harvey Weinstein. I ain't gonna get into the Epstein stuff. That
Right.
wasn't adults, but the Harvey Weinstein, those were adults. So what I'm saying is, no action is something. If you do nothing about it, then that's something too. Okay.
But you see, I think that's where, because you're having a hard time wrapping your mind around, why would someone stay? Why would someone subject themselves to that level of abuse? And then you're saying you should be accountable for staying?
Well, okay. So like you mentioned someone that you knew that was 50 years old that ran into her, attacker, right?
Mm-hmm,
At
mm-hmm.
any did you say that she got therapy prior to meeting him, or she didn't get therapy?
I don't know. I don't know. This was someone that I saw her on YouTube. She was just talking on
Okay.
YouTube. But I think you're talking more or less someone that's okay, so like in the entertainment business, somebody has dreams and aspirations of a music career.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so they go into this young and impressionable, So you're saying, so that's what I don't understand, because in a perfect world, I should be able to have dreams and aspirations, and I should be able to connect with people that can either help me or not help me, but it shouldn't be, sort of like this evil component attached to it where people are mistreated, people are taken advantage of. And so
That
I'm looking at it from that perspective. And I think you're looking at it from the perspective, well, you're going into this, if you're a young woman, granted, nice looking, right? And all of
mhm.
these things. And so I think what you're saying is like, okay, so you're using your looks, you're using those different things to get you from point A to point B. But at the same time, there shouldn't be that level of abuse. It shouldn't be that level of abuse associated with it.
There was a female artist. I forgot who it was specifically. I think it was a musician. Okay, female artist. She was signed to a record label. The the guys at the record label signed her, but they wanted her to, have a couch audition, so to speak. Uh, and she refused, and she left that label. Um, that's sort of what I'm talking about. Like, you don't always have to participate in these things. Like, she was with Diddy for 14 years. You don't have to
So
participate. Nobody had her, chained to a bed or anything like that. She actually ended up leaving him and going with Kid Cudi. And 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 all the time that she was with Diddy, she was sort of living a part of her dream, her lifestyle of rich and famous, so to speak. Um, Now, I'm not saying he didn't do some disgusting things, but
but don't you think that it would have been like really, really gradual? I don't think that the abuse starts right away. You see, I don't that's part to me, that's part of the grooming. And again, I'm not an expert, but I would just have to think that it is a situation where it's very subtle, and it's something that happens over time.
well, one of the things she said is that Diddy would hire some, corn stars, and they would come in with, long, baby legs, and
Mm-hmm.
and be intimate with her, and it was a couple of them. If Diddy has the power to bring in those guys, and first of all, why would you even stay for that? Was how were you forced in any way? And if that were the case, why did you stay after that? Like, a part of this
I,
stuff is just not like, you should know that that's not your man. Those guys that he brung into the bedroom is not your man. This is not right. I don't want to be with them. Bounce.
but I think you again you're seeing that whole situation through your eyes and the way that you're built. Because if you're not someone, there are a lot of people that just exercise mind control, and they're master manipulators. And we see common everyday folk operate in that fashion. So just imagine someone with power and money and some demented, disposition to hurt people. I just think
They
that,
can only take advantage of you if you want something out of them. That's the only way they can take advantage of you. If you want something out of them, if you want to be signed to a label, access to their money, access to their fame, something like that. And I'm speaking on the celebrity side. I'm not talking about the common
Yeah,
people.
you're saying, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You're speaking, you're speaking in this particular situation. Um, the only thing I can say or surmise from what, like, first of all, like I said, I'm looking at it. I don't have all of the answers, and I think those are questions that for an expert that could say, the manipulation and the mind control and the abuse, what does it do to the psyche of a person?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it goes deep. This is
It
for
is,
psychology and psychiatry and
it
all that other
is,
stuff and
it is.
sociology. Let me ask you a question. Did
Mhm.
you watch the movie Do the Right Thing?
Oh, a
Oh no,
long
no,
time.
no, not Do the Right Thing. I'm sorry. School Days. School Days.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yes.
School
It was
Days.
at like the
You're
80s.
yeah, yeah. You remember Big Brother Almighty? Big Brother Almighty? You remember
Yeah,
him? Light
yes,
skinned brother, he had glasses on, and
yes.
his girlfriend was Tisha Campbell, right?
Okay.
Her
Remember now.
first, her first, his sorority girlfriend or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
One time, he he was talking to her, and he made her smash what's his name? Small Pint or Little Pint? It was Spike Lee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Half Pint. That's what his name was. Now, in this world we live in, Tisha Campbell's character will probably have a case against Big Brother Almighty. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
Big Brother Almighty became famous, Tisha Campbell will have a, because she would say he manipulated me into smashing Half Pint. He he introduced somebody else into, he was treacherous. He was this, that, and the third. The fact of the matter is, Big Brother, that was a test for his girlfriend. That was a test for you. And he said it in the movie. He said, you failed. Uh uh I forgot her name, but he said you failed. You failed the test.
I did it.
You what?
You told me.
Wait a minute. You gave it up to Half Pint?
Yeah.
You gave it up? How could you do this, Jane?
You told
How
me.
could you do this? You boning my own frat brother? No, I didn't tell you that. The hell I told you that? Jane, I thought you loved me.
I do love you.
No, you don't love me. No,
I
you
do.
love what I stand for. You love Gamma Phi Gamma.
Julian.
No, you're in love with Dean Big Brother Almighty. You
that's not
don't
true.
even see Julian anymore, Jane. How could you do this?
Why are you doing
How
this
could
to
you?
me? Why?
Why am I doing you?
Why are you doing this
You
to
are
me?
blinded by the black and silver. No, Jane. Jane,
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to love
Jane,
you.
you're wrong. You're wrong, Jane. I've been trying to tell you this for so long. No, I'm Jane, I'm not here for you anymore. I want to tell you something. This was your final test. Your final test, and you failed, Jane. Jane, you blew it. You blew it. I'm sorry.
What can I do?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jane.
Please.
I wanted to see how bad you wanted it. I wanted to see how bad you wanted to be part of Gamma Phi Gamma. And the fact that you did it makes me not even want to be with you no more. But in today's world, that scenario, she would file a case against Big Brother. Now the question is, did he abuse her, or did she just want it too bad to the point where she was willing to do anything?
Well, and to your point, I think you'd have to look at all of the facts of that particular scenario, because on its face, that doesn't seem to rise to the level, right? On its face.
Well, I mean, we seen that movie. We seen all the scenarios. We seen what happened. Now, we didn't see all of the scenarios to the Diddy situation, but I mentioned that movie as a bit of a comparison. So, you know, knowing what we know about that movie, you know, would you say he should get sued? If he became rich and famous and a billionaire, should he get sued?
Again, I can't answer that. I think that, you know, it's a fine line, kind of like this the example that you're painting right there.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I know it was, you know, 30, 40 years ago, whatever. I don't know if you got time, rewatch that movie.
I
I
would.
it's a lot of, you know, vagueness in it too, but I remember that part of it. And as Big Brother Almighty, he tested his girlfriend, and Jill, I think her name was Jill or whatever. He tested Jill. He said, "Look, I want you to go smash, you know, half pint, and this, that, and the third," and she failed the test. Now, she'll later come back 30, 40 years later under this New York law and file a case against Big Brother Almighty if that was a real case scenario.
No, I think
She would. She would. Especially if this law is about to expire, she would file. I mean, Diddy got a case of a woman 30 years ago in 1991.
I understand that, but you and I agreed that we were only going to talk about the Cassie and the Diddy.
Well, this is we are talking about that, but I'm just bringing up that movie as a sort of a likeness scenario of, you know, this situation. So it's relatable. It's relating. I'm just trying to put a different perspective on it so that you can kind of understand what I'm saying.
And I do. I guess I'm trying to understand the questions that you have and being very mindful of the victims in terms of not truly understanding why people stay, and, you know, and trying not to victimize them even more, because I don't fully understand why someone would stay. I think when we talked earlier about, you know, the education that we have to do with our children, you know, starting them off, you know, when they're really, really young, and, you know, the way we raise our young girls and the way we raise our young boys, you know, instilling a true sense of self, not just in the young girls, but also in the young boys, you know, so that we can raise up, you know, healthy, productive, you know, adults that don't take advantage and hurt people.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, yo. We do need to keep a level of sensitivity to all the victims out there. You know, much love to everybody who was a victim of this. You're not alone. There are sources to try to get some help with this, and, you know, sort things out. And, you know, I would say, you know, if you feel that you have been wronged, you should reach out. You should file charges as soon as possible, and you should, you know, also seek maybe some, you know, psychological assistance in dealing with this stuff. I know some people close to me who are dealing with some of this stuff, male and female. it just is what it is. A lot, unfortunately, it's something that is a part of society. It's the part that really sucks and is horrible and horrific. And that goes for all races. It's not even just black people, it goes for all races. So I do think we should maintain a level of sensitivity to these victims. So, you know, shout out to y'all, and hopefully there are some avenues of healing that you can explore. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think we can be friends again.
Well, I would like to think so, and I'm gonna tell you the same thing. I'm gonna tell the audience: subscribe to the channel, okay?
Yes. And just so you know, I did not unsubscribe.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not unsubscribe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, this was enlightening, and I'd like to talk some more things out with you if you up for it. Ready to Love, when that comes back out, maybe you can hit me up and say let's talk it out, because
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a good perspective on that stuff too. How do you think I'm doing with Make a Move?
You're doing a good job.
Do you think so? Thanks, I appreciate it.
You're doing a good job. I really, really enjoy again, just a different perspective. So yeah, just keep up the good work, and I really enjoyed this dialogue. I really enjoyed this dialogue.
Yeah, I did too.
Yes, this was good.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you may be seeing some more Yo-Yo. Don't play with my Yo-Yo now, okay? She gonna come after you now, and she came after me, so I don't play with her no more. So, but yeah, thanks for joining me, and I wish all the women who who are after Diddy, seek justice in whatever kind of way that is. And that goes for any women, period. I know that there's this whole law that's going to expire in New York. So you got on the books, you got Diddy with 3 more cases. You got Bill Cosby with a couple more cases. You got Jamie Foxx on the books. I think you got Cuba Gooding Jr. He has been accused. There has been a flood of new cases because they know that this law is going to expire. If that's what it takes to get these victims' voice heard, so be it. Doesn't matter what time it is, long as it gets done and long as they seek justice, I'm cool with that. My only hope is that if you find yourself being in one of these situations, that you remove yourself from it as soon as possible, for your own health and mental health and things like that. I guess that's my sermon, is that self-care is just as important. Okay, take care of yourselves, and if you find yourself in danger, remove yourself from it to eliminate later traumas. So,
and get help. You're right, I agree.
Yeah, and get help. Seek help as soon as possible, legally, professionally, whatever. So that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
You can't play with my yo-yo. Don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out.
So we're done. Holy smoke.